is work out a way of actually generating the anagram. So this has basically just got the entire word. So let's say it got golf, it'll just get the word golf. It hasn't mixed around any letters. What we now need to do is create a function that will randomly order them. This function is not the most nicest in terms of how it's been created, and we'll just call it random remove, and it takes an argument called, so I'll just call it initial string. So that basically means any value, so I can feed it any word, and then it's going to basically try and jumble up those letters from that word. So I've got this option called random, so this is trying to get me a random number, and there's a built-in function PHP called rand, so it's going to be between 0 and I've got this thing called strlen, which stands for string length, so it works out the number of characters. So I get the string length of that, was golf, and you get 4, and I want to take one away, because in computers we generally start counting at 0, so I've got from position 0, 1, 2 and 3. So I've got all positions of the letters, and then basically a sort of shortened option. So this is what's going to happen. So it's what's going to be left over after you've taken out the one random letter. So we choose one random letter, take it out, and shortened will be the remaining letters. So if I had the original word golf, and I took out the L, the shortened thing that it would send and work, jumble up again would be the G, O and F. Okay, so we've got this. Now, it does get, a little bit messy. So what we need to do is if the string length of the initial string is greater than 0, I'm going to do all this. Otherwise, what I need to do is set the result to be nothing. So if there are no letters left, basically set the result to be absolutely empty, so there's nothing in it. What we're going to be using here is a thing called recursion. So what's going to happen is I'm going to run the say with the full word once, so initial string, run it again, then it'll take out the first letter, store it in the result, or sorry, take out the first letter, and then send the shortened letter off to basically get the next one until there's no more letters left. Then it'll get that letter, get nothing, then it'll come back, add on the nothing plus that last thing, let's say L, then it'll go back to the previous one, put in an O, next one back to a G, last one back to an F. So it'll take them and assemble the word in sort of a random reverse order. A little bit messy. But this is more complicated than you would generally need to know. If you're basically able to work through, build one of these of your own, you're basically looking at full marks for your implementation section, as long as the documentation supports it. So, for I is 0 and I is less than the initial string length, we're going to basically add one onto it each time you finish doing what's in between this set of brackets. So what I'm going to want to do here is basically going through each letter and the remaining letters. So when we first start through, if we've got the word golf, it starts with G is in position 0, O and L, and then if I matches the random number here, so if that matches up, then it will store it. Okay, so what we now is another if statement to see if I matches the random number. 2 equals in PHP means is equal to, unlike the 3 equals in JavaScript. So we've got one of those, and it's equal to random. We're going to do something. I'm just adding in the extra brackets now because it makes our life a bit easier. So it's equal to random. The result is equal to substr, which is short for substring, so just part of it. So the substring of the initial string from position 1 to string 1. So it's basically just getting that one character out. Otherwise, we're going to store it in shortened. And shortened is going to be equal to shortened with the substring added onto it. Okay, so that basically creates our shortened list. So one result basically just adds on the actual result. The shortened one basically adds it all sort of on together. We'll just, when we finish that little bit there, come out of that for loop, we're still inside that first part of the if. Note by the indentation, we're going to join the results together. But we're going to call the function again. So that will get us to be able to go through all the way along and delete the different numbers. Okay, so there are two functions that we need to use. So random remove and random word. Now what we need to do is actually add the code in. So it's going to go in our div tag. We're going to put it before the form, because it's not actually anything to do with the form. I've got my little bit of PHP here. I need to create my anagram, and I'm going to set it up to being the random word. So that gets me my random word to start with. Now, similar to what we did with the other, and the words in, so we're going to check if it is set. Post, and remember we called the input box guess in this time. So if we've made a guess, what I'm saying here, and so I just clicked on the button, then we want to do this. So if this is the first time they've come to this page and they've never made a guess, all we want to do is set the anagram to the random word, and what I'm also just going to do here is convert it into an uppercase, so basically make the whole word an uppercase word. And then outside of these, I know I've missed this section here out, but we're going to come back to that, because this will only happen if someone has made a guess. So this is determining if the guess is actually correct or not. So in this last part, we need to echo and print out the answer. And after the answer, what we need to do is we're just going to store basically the anagram values basically on the page. It's not an efficient way of doing it. It's not secure. You can actually easily see the answers, but it serves our purpose of what we're doing. So I'm going to basically echo, and I'm going to put another input box type. So this time, rather than text, I'm actually going to have one that is hidden, so it cannot be seen on the page. I'm going to call it anagram, and its value is going to be equal to, so we type, and what I've done is, if you notice here, I've actually broken half of that command off, because the value I want to actually write in there is actually the answer. We'll actually store the answer in there, and then I'm going to do another little echo, and I'm going to finish off that command. So what this will actually do is write this as just normal text in HTML, as a command in HTML, add the answer in, which is whatever the actual anagram is, and then put an echo on there. So the echo, and then put the closing bracket on. And what I actually also want to do is then actually also put out what the word originally actually is. So we've got not just the jumbled up word, but also the original unjumbled word. So we're going to use the same process. So we're going to have echo. Oh, looks like we've missed a little command here. Not sure why those not working properly. So we've got echo input, anagram, value, that one's fine. That one is missing our speech mark. As you can tell, everything comes in pairs and it does cause problems if you're not careful. So this one is going to be just the original anagram word. But except this time we also need to change the value name. Anagram, we're going to call that just word. Okay, what we've got here is most of the code's finished. Now we just need to work on what's actually going to happen. So that's why we did this section first. It's because when we go through to the page, we need to also